I like to keep them not personally business, but I always like to participate with them. So
Is that the Amuna calendar?
no, this one is General Israel Orphans Home for Girls.
Oh.
They also have a Haggadah too. So I want them to be in business. I don't want any orphans particularly, but I wanted them taken care of if they do. All right, and then the final. I have. Are you seeing this right way or you're not? You're seeing
It's
it
fine.
upward?
Yes, it's
Right way?
fine. Yes,
Because I see it backwards. Well,
no,
We're seeing it right.
it's perfect.
I'm glad. I'm glad. I mentioned it before, but this is the deadline for those who are interested in getting a copy. I'm giving first dibs to. It is a limited offer, so I'm giving first dibs to those who are come in to the book group. Zoom, but please, if you have any friends, this is not in any way limited, especially on Zoom. Please have anybody join us because new blood is always the best. You know, we will pick the bones of anybody. So, but we do have a fine offer from Jack Teich, who anybody who's been here 40 years or so will know his family. His father, Joe Teich, was a original member. Is that right, Irene?
Yes.
Yes, he was one of those people with a shovel that you see right next to the front door with a fedora on and a shovel and their overcoats. I love overcoats. I'm very sorry that men don't seem to be wearing them as much anymore. And maybe because climate change is getting too warm, whatever the reason. But Jack lived on Ballantyne, is it Lane? Ballantyne. Is it
Valentine.
I don't know if it's a lane or I think it's a lane. And one night in his early evening, 7 o'clock-ish, he, in his driveway, he was kidnapped. And he was taken away. They put putty on. I won't even tell you all the details because most people don't have the whole story. And that's what Jack Teich sent me the book. And from his letter, which was very businesslike, gave me hope that he would speak to us. He is still, even though he no longer is a member, no longer a resident of Great Neck, he's still a member of Temple Israel. So he is a person of importance to the synagogue just for longevity. And I think, I don't know if it was Laura, someone told me that they saw him here for holidays. Of course, we probably won't this year. Anyway, Jack, I called him and he is willing to speak to us. He said the facts have not been revealed. It's 45 years. This year, he finally felt comfortable enough to write about his experience. I mean, this 45 years. This is the real thing. I mean, he was taken away. They put putty on his eyes so that he couldn't see where he was going. He was put in a closet and chained to a wall with a chain.
Oh.
I will tell you no more, but he was there a number of days in this black closet, and I can understand his, I can understand his reluctance. He actually said, "I'm not comparing myself to."
How are you?
But I feel like I'm like a Holocaust survivor. It took me 40 years to be willing to share this story. He says, no one but my wife Janet, no one but know all the details. And they are in this book with a center of pictures. And my husband, a non-fiction connoisseur, especially of this kind of book, said that it was well written and something worth reading, and he read it in 1.5 sessions of sitting and reading it. So he recommends it, and Jack said, "Oh, of course." He says, "I'll be happy to talk to your book club." He says, "However, I don't like to lecture. I want a participation. I want it to be a give and take." He said, "So what I would like to do is have people who have read the book before they come." Now, I was reluctant. I said, "I'm really sorry. I can't guarantee." I said, "Our library is not really fully working, And I can't ask people to buy the book because that hasn't been the practice of our book club before. And so if anybody doesn't know, I just want to say we've been very fortunate that the library, when we pick a book, the library gets it for us from other libraries in the area. So I said, I can't guarantee it. I don't know what to, he said, don't worry. He says, how many do you have in your book group? I said 20. Or I said, he said 20 emails out is what I said. But that doesn't mean that we're limited. Please, anybody who wants to come join it, we are happy to have anybody extra, not extra, anybody in addition to the 20 that I send an email to. And he said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. He didn't say it that way. He said that he'd be delighted. He will pack up or have packed up 20 copies and he will send it to individual people to their door. So I can't imagine a better offer than that. So I am saying to you, we are going to, before Rosh Hashanah, we are going to have him. I have to really work out the timing. I did say theoretically the 17th, maybe it'll be the 10th. I have to make sure that it's okay with him. But somewhere, Wednesday or Thursday before Rosh Hashanah, we will have him come, and it's going to be in the evening, 7 o'clock. And I am going to send it out, but you must let me know, ronalupkin@gmail.com. You must let me know that you are interested in getting a copy and that I'm not asking for in blood, but I'm asking you to pledge, please, to read it before we discuss it. And it was a lovely offer from him, and I think you're going to find it fascinating. Maybe not pleasant, but fascinating. No gore. And I will tell you, for those, a large number of our group were here at the time, but the only spoiler I'll give you is that he is alive, obviously. And so they did release him. He was kidnapped and he was released, but there's a lot that happened in between. So as I said, you must, if you haven't already, you must email me at ronalupkin@gmail, and you must let me know that you want a copy. So it's always nice to get a package in the mail, I think. So
Yes.
This is a particularly good offer. All right, so, and just to start at the afternoon, I just want to mention to you today, I'm wearing white earrings.
I see.
As a pledge to the 19th Amendment, as a commemoration of the 19th Amendment, the passing of Vote for Women. And I think every woman now is very, I think really probably at this point, the reaction is it took too long in coming. And because they worked on this, there were a number of programs, including one through Women's League tonight called the Heroettes or something like that. And it is discussing Jewish women as suffragettes. And that perhaps did not get as much attention at the time. And if you think as brave as it was for all women to fight for it, when you think that they were rounded up and they were force-fed, and I mean there was really it was a heroic thing. They deserve Purple Hearts. That for Jewish women it must have been even a more a more difficult time period. So anyway, so I'm wearing my white earrings. But the reason I'm wearing these white earrings, and if anybody at any future date, is because they belong to my mother-in-law. And when I wear them, I feel that the chain of family. And if anybody else, I know Laura must have a million things. You know, the person that no, she seems to have a million.
These are my mother's earrings. These are my mother's earrings. They're from the Museum of the Metropolitan Museum. It's a copy of an Indian earring. You're looking for that, and I'm wearing a white watch today.
Okay. Okay, and I also so that if anybody along the way at any time, we can start the meeting with just a little community I had, I guess she didn't get to you. I had tried to, no, she'll do it next week.
She couldn't get on by herself. Henry was away.
Yeah, all right.
He was away from
So we are going to be very, Shula is going to bring some Torah covers next week that she made herself. Her things are absolutely exquisite. And it's a pleasure to see what she brings in. But her husband wasn't there. So even though as, I mean, I couldn't give her the confidence that she needed to do it by herself. So she will do it next week. But anybody also who has some memento, I was thinking jewelry is always nice. But something that they had. I could even show what I really particularly love is having plants that came from relatives. My husband Joseph's mother had a little one of those rosettes snake plants that all of her family now has a part of. So we all have a part of her. So I'm saying that kind of, I love plants that I get from other people. So especially something that's generational, it's over the top. So there we are. So that's just a start. Today, I thought we would spend some time. Oh, also, we're going to have a little suggestions for books to read. And we're starting out with our wonderful Carol, who has been talking very seriously about a book that she read and wants to recommend. So just, if she could just speak to us a little bit about that.
Hi, everybody. I just finished The Girl Who Wrote in Silk.
No, I think you have to say, okay.
The girl what?
The Girl Who Wrote in Silk.
I'm sorry.
The
What?
Girl Who Wrote in Silk.
In silk.
Can you see?
Yeah.
Okay, so The Girl Who Wrote in Silk is by Kelly Estes. And it's about two women. One Chinese gal who was brought up in the 1890s in Seattle, she was born in Seattle. Her family was taken away from their home, like many others during that time, and put on a ship to go back to China. But really it wasn't going back. They weren't going back to China. They were dumping all of these bodies in the ocean. So she was the only survivor, and it's her story. And the part about writing in silk is she did an embroidery. She made a Chinese jacket with her life story.
Oh my.
And it was passed,
What'd you
it
say?
was given to
Listen
her
to a book
son.
talk. What'd you ask
So-
me?
Okay.
Oh,
So,
okay. I'm good. How are you?
Hang on one second. Let me mute.
Yeah.
Okay, so present day, a woman who is going through her aunt's home on an island off of the coast of Washington finds a piece of this jacket. And it's very interesting how their lives entwined, and I highly recommend it. Very good friends of mine who are also in book clubs read it, called me, said, "You've got to read this, you would love it." And I haven't really read in a very long time because I've been so exhausted lately, I'm always fall asleep. So last week I had the opportunity to read because my doctor said I had to rest after something that I had, and I couldn't put the book down. So I highly recommend it. I hope you guys enjoy it. It's a little history and a little bit of romance tucked in there too. So that's my thing.
Thank you so much.
That's
All right.
nice.
Sorry,
I
I
want-
missed what book is it?
It's called,
It's called The Girl Who Wrote in Silk. I'll send the information to Rona. She could post it.
Oh, good.
great. That's terrific. Now I also, and it brings up, Carol has been talking about it. As a matter of fact, she was talking about it. I said, I can get the book for you. So I got it from it was one of the first books that, I mean, I actually hadn't been to the library until I got it, so I wanted to thank her because it took me to the library, and it just sort of, it's helping me blossom.
I dropped it off yesterday, by the way. Thank you.
Thank. I only wanted to say that the library is in business, but it brought to mind something that a friend said to me that I want to just sort of, I'm just going to also ask, not necessarily for an answer now, but unless you wanted to, but someone I said who doesn't, she has something else she does at this time on Tuesday, but I think she is a little distressed that we only do Jewish books of Jewish interest. Now, it has always been my thinking, certainly for purchases at the library, that we have a wonderful public library, and really no reason for us to duplicate that kind of book. That there should be some Jewish connection to the books that our library has. So that I have bought, and I think it's even before me. I don't, unless Eva's here. I don't know if she is. She has come at other times. Maybe she's not here today. Eva set up the library. I don't think that she bought anything but Jewish books or Jewish interests, some Jewish theme. You know, there is. It's a little gray area where one considers what is a Jewish author or what is a Jewish theme. If it's about the Second World War, all I'm saying that it can be a very expansive topic. But she said, "How come you don't ever?" Talk about books or recommend books that aren't of a Jewish theme. So when Carol said, and this one has no Jews particularly in the book that she was reading, but I said I'd like her to speak, and I'd like to just wonder, would people prefer that every once in a while that we do a non-Jewish book? I feel that there must be a million book clubs, and I know there are a number that have Jewish themes, but it's a personal, I don't want, if anybody would rather, at least occasionally, to read another book together, then certainly I have no problem with that. So I'm just throwing out, if you would like us to include books or even a specific book, please let me know. Rona Lupkin at Gmail. It couldn't be easier. Now, before we start, I have a few just suggestions, but honestly, these all have a Jewish theme. I might have mentioned this before, but I am mentioning it again. It was reviewed in the New York Times, a book review, very well reviewed. It's Women's League is going to use it as a book group read. I just want to mention, just as I have mentioned it before, but if you haven't always been there, just want to mention that it also, the library can't get us books that are not at least 6 months old, because they get it from other libraries, and other libraries don't necessarily, they won't send their books out if they're that new. But I do recommend this on an individual basis, and it's called Florence Adler Swims Forever by Rachel Beanland. I heard her speak on one of the 5 million author Zooms that are going around now, and she was a charming woman who now lives in Richmond. So of course already she's a Virginian. She has to be a great person. Anyway, so I do, but it was recommended by the New York Times. It is a buzz. It's a buzz book now. People are talking about it. So I recommend Florence Adler's Swims Forever. It's about a family where in New Jersey that one of the members, a young woman, wanted to practice for a marathon swim, and unfortunately, this picture is not giving a real picture of the problem. Was that she drowns while she obviously in a riptide or whatever. She obviously is a good swimmer. She's swimming. She wants to be a competitive swimmer. And the problem is the family does not want to tell the grandmother, who's not well. They don't want to tell her she's gone. And that's the basis for the book. Now, and there is something autobiographical in it. I think this woman did have a family member who didn't who had a similar problem. I don't know whether the grandmother was part of her original problem, but she definitely had a family member who died in swimming.
Who's the author?
The
Who's the
author is Rachel Beanland. I don't know where the name Beanland. And she was a charming, the author is a charming woman, and the book is very well reviewed. So I have a copy, and the first person who asks for it gets it. I'll leave it downstairs for them, and I'd be delighted to have the library in.
Have you read it?
No, I have to. Just as Carol was saying, she doesn't get so tired. I have to tell you, for someone who's home all day, it's amazing how tired I get at night. But I have just getting to the paper. But I do read reviews. As a matter of fact, well, I won't tell you stories. Nobody cares but me. But I used to. What was it called? National Book Reviews. All it has was a magazine with the reviews in it. And my boss, when I was 21, said, "How come you know all about these books?" I don't tell him that I don't read them. I just read the reviews. Anyway, I don't know why. All right, so this one is called Man of My Time. It's by Dahlia Sofer, but you will know this because she's the author of September of Shiraz. So it has a Persian theme, and it was a wonderful. September of Shiraz was a wonderful book. I have read nothing, so don't ask me. But I have read every review, and I listened to every author's interview, and she's an excellent writer. Yeah. So I feel comfortable in mentioning it to you. And I'm falling apart here. I think I mentioned this before, but this is by Adam Begley, who is a wonderful author, and it's part of the Yale University Jewish biography series. And what's wonderful about all of these books is they have well-known authors, and they're small biographies, but chock full. And this one is about Houdini. So I feel that he was a very strange person. And so I feel very safe in thinking that you would find it pretty fascinating. I also have one from this series about Stan Lee, and I'm not so sure this particular group will find him, but hello everyone. I'm not sure everyone. Does that mean you're going to talk to us, or you're not talking to us today, Shula?
Oh, sure.
We're talk next week?
Next week, yes.
Okay.
Henry just came back. I just came on. I didn't know how to find you. I'm
No, that's fine. We're delighted, and
computer and me.
And we were talking about how wonderful you are. Isn't that true, ladies? Okay.
Yes.
Then we have another group of people who like memoirs. This is my memoir of my father's war and what remains. This is Adriana Newman, M-A-N-N. Her father was a Nazi. So the young Germans now have not now, for a generation, they have a passed on guilt, and I think they're beyond guilt and now feeling a little frustrated and angry that it wasn't me, I didn't do that, and I think they are just a little sick of being guilty for their parents. So anyway, so that's why this is a very interesting book. And finally, Adriana Newman, M-A-N-N, which I usually see, it's not always true, tends to be a non-Jewish spelling of Newman. So, but an excellent book, and also an excellent. And finally, I have a number. I will maybe I'll even, if we get, maybe I'll send out a list a little later.
That's good.
Because I don't want to. And then this one, I can't imagine any of you don't want to read, is called This Is Big. It's how the founder of Weight Watchers changed the world and me. So I think this is an enterprising woman. This to find your niche, and so I recommend it. The only thing I have a problem with, I'm not sure why, I would have had pictures. For this particular book, I would have had pictures. because, I love before and after pictures. I don't know about you.
Yes.
The hope in having an after where you're absolutely gorgeous is just, I think it's a real upper. Which is, I just saw what is her name is Nevins. She's a very big a documentary producer. And she was being interviewed on one of the millions. I really spend at least an hour a day watching a Zoom because I think they're fantastic. But she's 81 years old. And I think she surpasses, what's the other one? I'll remember. The one who will be forever young. I always think that they are at the portrait, only the portrait changes. Jane Fonda. She surpasses Jane Fonda in looking like a young woman. And she was 81 years old. She says, but she's one of these gutsy, honest women. And she says, but there's no part of me that's real. So, so that's to make you feel better. The only thing I know I'm wandering on. There's nothing book. Except I think she wrote a book too. Nobody's on who hasn't written a book. But she has the most beautiful hands. Now, I don't know, I'd have to ask you, is it possible does anybody get plastic surgery on their hands?
Sure.
No veins.
Yeah.
Beautiful fingers. The skin is tight. So, and I can see doing something about your arms. I just don't know how you would redo your hands. But I tell you, she's unbelievable. Her name is Nevins, and I can't remember her first name. Alyssa Nevins, whatever she is. And I just watched the whole program and she's big with it. She was doing a lot of hand movement. So that leaves me, maybe she had her hands done too. All right, so anyway, finally, so this is what's going to make me a legitimate book reviewer, a book person. Now, there are two ways you could get this. I still have some downstairs. Is a whole raft of just 2 pages, very big print, and it's called Great Jewish Books, Must-Reads from the Past 100 Years. I thought it was just a fantastic title, and I love the illustrations, and I don't know, I like that kind of thing. So we have 10 books, each one with a very short, I sent everyone, and if you don't have it, I will send it to you now. I sent everyone a link to get it from, this is put out by My Jewish Learning. All you have to do is press it, you click the link, and you will get all 10 of these. You don't even have to copy them. Or if you really like to be spoon-fed, downstairs in the lobby, 12 Bond Street, there is a folder where I have copied them out for you.
I can hear you.
Watermelon.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, we're going to go quickly through it. So even if you thought you got away without having to see it, it's not true. We are reading, I am so sorry. We are reading Counterlife. Can I have a show of hands? Do I have everybody? There might be some other people on audio. Has anybody not gotten a copy of it?
I haven't.
And you haven't?
Me.
Okay, well, I don't understand. I can see, I can't understand why both of you. I thought maybe, all right. I have one copy. One of you, I'm going to flip a coin. And otherwise, we're going to have to, maybe you can get it from your library. Shula, maybe you can call your library because they might even, because I have one copy and I have 2 people who haven't gotten it. So,
My library is your library.
Oh, is it? I thought maybe you lived in Port Washington. I thought you lived in Port Washington. I don't know.
No more. No, I live in Great Neck.
Wonderful. Then I may probably, well, then you're going to have to send me your address. I'm not sure I have your address right then. Okay? Well, good. Well, I'm sorry. I tell you what, I'm going to try to get to another copy. I have one copy. And all right, who wants head and who wants tail? Iris, you want heads or tail?
I'll take heads.
Okay. So I will either get you a copy. I'll send an email to both of you. I'll see if I can get a copy so that I don't have to be Solomon. Anyway, no, anyway,
You can cut the book, Rona, cut the book in half.
Yes.
And read half of it. And then
you read half and then you'll
I
trade.
want the first half.
I would do it for you, except this is not a temple copy. It's a copy from the library. Okay, so, but here's the book. It's a nice compact book. If somebody has trouble with small print though, this might, it's not tiny, but it is, I happen to like the feel of a soft cover, especially this one's very.
When are you doing that book?
That's what I think I gave you the wrong date.
24th, I think.
Yeah, I did, but we can't do it on the 24th.
Okay.
I promised Toby we wouldn't do it on the 24th. I think it was the 25th is Tuesday, anyway.
Right.
25th. But
Isn't that the date that Shula's showing her Torah covers?
yes,
Oh, yeah.
we can
Okay.
do both. We can do
Okay,
both.
okay.
Julie promised me that she wouldn't take an hour and a half.
Oh, no.
She has
No,
enough-
it wasn't that she promised me. I promised her she didn't have to take an hour. Okay, well, but I wanted to, unless, is everybody already read it? The problem was, I thought by the 24th, the problem would be that if you got it late, you wouldn't have it ready on the 24th to do as it. So are people happy with the 24th?
Sure.
I don't want to discourage you, or I can tell you I want you to stay all day and night. It isn't an easy read. It is, but I think it's worthwhile. And we'll start with that, even though I have all these others just to show you. We will start with what they say about, and I don't know if Brenda's here. I know we did talk about Brenda. No, so something must have come up because she said she'd be here. We'll call the counter life is one of the sections that came in. This was from the 80s, actually 1986. The counter life explores the miracle of changing a life. And I thought we might, I don't want to talk about it now because we will talk about it on the 25th after Shula has done a dance and a song and 2 Torah covers. Is that right? Okay, she says yes. So we will do it next week then. I just was afraid that I would discourage somebody from not reading the book because it's the 24th, because it really takes more. Jack Teish's book is one day. This book, you're better off reading it close together because it can be confusing. It is at least 4 different counter lives. It is confusing because you have to decide what's real and what's not real. So, but it is beautifully written. And I think just like all of Philip Roth's book have a little something magical in them. Now, we did discuss not Born in America. What was it? What is, all right, Arias, what was the name of the series, the Philip Roth book that we read? Something in America. Okay.
The one that was on television too,
Yeah.
right?
The Plot Against America.
The plot,
Plot Against
thank you.
America.
I didn't know whether you'd seen that, but if you haven't seen it, it was interesting. The
It was.
series as well. Do you see the series? It was. I've read it. We did do that book Among Us, and I had read it 10 years before that. It frightened me to death then, and I said I'll reread it, and I'll reread it, and I won't be so.
And it's even more frightening.
It was even more frightening because it's so true. It's so today. So if you have not read it, I think both the series. It's a short series. Was it 2 or 3?
It was on Amazon.
Amazon.
I think it
No,
was on Amazon.
maybe it's on
Netflix?
now. It was on HBO.
Netflix.
No.
Oh, yeah, right, HBO, right.
No, I know that because after I saw my mammoth Optimum bill, I realized that for weeks, so months, because Joseph used to take care of it, that we were paying for HBO. So I said, oh, thank God, at least we had it until December, so I could see the show. It was worthwhile. The series was worthwhile.
It was very well done.
It was well done series.
And it was
the
very
book-
close to the book also.
Yes,
Yes,
and
yes.
the book was really frightening. Okay.
Yep.
This is Philip Roth. He is one of the only ones that, and I was going to look it up. That all his honors. I mean, that would take the whole time that we're here. He won. He won for the Counterlife. He won the Jewish, not the Jewish. He won the National Book Critics Circle Award. He's won the. He's won everything. He didn't win the Booker, but at that time they were not allowing non-British people to be judged for the Booker. But I'll bet you would have. I mean, you know his books, and Goodbye Columbus, all of Nathan Zuckerman. He keeps coming up again and again, and he's here in the Counterlife. And we will read, we will discuss the Counterlife, and we will read. We'll do it next week. So please, at least.
Did everybody else read the book except for me and Shula?
No.
No.
I haven't yet.
Well, then that's why I wanted to change it from the 24th.
Because I don't think without even having the book yet, I'm not going to finish. I'm in the middle of another one right now.
Okay, then, all right. More's the belt. So we will change. Nobody was saying, oh my God, I haven't read it yet. No. Probably I'm the only one. I think Brenda read it too. So the two of us are not going to sit and discuss it without you, I can assure you. So we are going to, because this really is meaty. I mean, even figuring out what's true and what's not is going to be.
Because if we have the Taish book to read next, then maybe do it in September.
Yes. Okay, I have it for September 8th, which is the day after Labor Day. So you have all.
That's our honey packing day.
No, I thought Laura told me it was the 15th.
Wait, an email just came from. I just saw it this morning. Let me see what Helene just sent. Here, Helene, Tuesday, September 8th.
Okay, well that's only the reason. That's the reason I made it the 8th. All right, then let's make it the 15th. Okay.
Okay. Oh, no, the 15th, wait. Oh, Joe Teish isn't, okay, I got it wrong.
No, I was hoping I would later in the week and at night.
Yeah.
Now, I know this is a wild group. They could do something during the day and at night, or 2 days in a row. I mean, this is craziness.
It's very possible.
I mean, when you have to think that you're not going to be leaving your house, I mean, it's certainly, you just have to drag yourself to the computer. I'm sure you can get more than one thing done. Okay.
I mean, I don't have to cook for 30 people this year.
That's right.
So is anybody cooking for large numbers? Well, you have the opportunity. I'm going to speak to your children. I think you should cook and ship it out, don't you think?
No.
All those who agree.
I did that for Passover.
Noelle, you're going to do that, right? You're going to?
Probably.
Okay.
At least make them brisket.
That's, oh. And and one more thing, I'm so much of a diversion here, I know, because you're not going to like the rest of this. Yesterday they had on the Emmanuel series, they had Rachel Osnaham, the marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Oh.
Gave an interview. And let me tell you, if she was walking down the street, I would never recognize her. I loved her as a 50s person. And just one more. I knew beforehand she wasn't Jewish, but it came up. She said, so that I knew she wasn't because I think the person who was interviewing her said, well, have you ever made a brisket? I'm not quite sure, but as soon as she said, I did just make a brisket, I knew she wasn't Jewish. So how could a Jewish person not have made a brisket before? She got in 1950. She was like in character. She was describing Midge, the person she was in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. But she wanted to get a 50s, when she made brisket, she wanted it to be a 50s one, and it was made with beer. So there we go. I've never made brisket with beer. I just want to guess, anybody ever made brisket with beer? No. Well, I know that it's done. I'm sure it tastes delicious. Anyway, just an aside. Okay, that was a Counter Life. It was in the 50s. The Great Jewish Book started with bread givers. We have copies. I think that, and it should look familiar to you if you've been in the group for a while. If not, it shouldn't necessarily look it. If you have not read it, I have 4 copies, and I would be delighted. I think that you would enjoy it. It's 1925. It's from 1925. It is very much a immigrant story written by a young immigrant woman who came over with her 9 sisters and brothers, and her mother who worked a little, and her father who was a Talmud scholar. But you have to believe, here she was. This was already her 5th book in 1925. So this young woman came in the 1880s with her family, and everybody in the family, especially since her father did not make anything. They were either involved. He was studying that, and that. So the whole family had yikas because the father was studying, and the poor mother had to take care of 9 children and whatever money brought in, and they lived on their neighbors taking care of them. So this woman was one of the youngest. She said, enough of that. She says, I want to be my own. She says, I want my own door. Now you have to, as a person who never had her own room, I know I wasn't. I had a room with my sister, and then I had a room with my sister and 2 cousins, and then I got married. So, and then in college I had roommates. So I don't know if I'd feel lonely, but I can understand that's what she wasn't at all lonely. She had too many roommates. So anyway, but it's very evocative of the times. It's very not in Yiddish, but the cadence. If you have anybody in your family who was a Yiddish speaking person, you can tell that the syntax is not reproducing, but because that was her background. So here we are. So this is the Bread Givers. It was the book of the 20s, a lens on Jewish immigrant experience. And I do hope if you look up on the link or pick it up at my desk, it gives you this one. We did discuss this actually in the book group, but this gives you, after you've gone through the whole century, it gives you a very nice sort of a sweep of Jewish writers over the periods. The second one for the 30s, and we do have it. I cannot. What happened? I must have touched it. Something. Sorry, people. I don't know if you can see me. Yeah, I don't know what I did. I'm sorry.
Rona,
Yeah.
can I just turned you into a co-host. I have a meeting that I have to go to.
Okay.
You can finish this group whenever. All you have to do is where it says end, the little red button on the right-hand side. Do you have that button?
It says leave.
Right. So when you're ready, because I have to come out of this, I made you co-host. You can leave and end the meeting for all when you're ready.
Woo! Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry, everybody, but I have a meeting to go to.
Okay.
So
Oh, it's late. Oh, yeah, we're going to leave soon anyway, but thank you.
I'll see you all next week. Thanks.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you for everything.
Bye.
All right, I'm just going to go pay. I'm just going to give you the titles, and if anybody's heard of them, just let me know. I won't go through them because I didn't realize it was so late. I'm not good at looking at that. The Family Mashber by Dernista. Does anybody know what Dernista means? It's Yiddish. It's the hidden. This was a pseudonym. This is a Russian story. He's Lithuanian, and this is a Russian story. And we have it. If someone wants at least to look through it, no, that's the wrong one. This is an amazing. I mean, this is a winter night. I mean, a winter's by the fire night, not night, a whole winter. but it is it's a pen name of a Yiddish writer who was he published, and it's in actually that he did it in 3 parts. 2 parts were published outside of Russia because he was sent to Siberia, and they didn't like hearing what they had to say about the Soviet Union, and that's why he had a pseudonym. And he sent it out to he sent the first 2 out to friends, and it was published outside of Russia. The 3rd one, he buried it, and nobody ever. So the 3rd part was never seen outside of Russia because by then he was in custody. And that's what he picked for the 2nd one. And Near to the Wild Heart, I didn't get is, but I'm just showing the different influences on what are considered good Jewish books. And this one, published in English. This was called Near to the Wild Heart by Clarice Lepecki. She was Lithuanian, but her family went to in the 30s. Her family went to Brazil. So she wrote, but she just like. So this is a theme. She, just like the Bread Givers writer, Anzia Yayurtska, she wanted to be. She didn't want the trappings of a encompassing Jewish family, and so this doesn't really talk too much about anything Jewish. But they say too, it's the cadence. This is her background, and this is part of her life, and that I think it's sort of the idea is that you really never can never completely leave your past behind you. And then this is the one that I want to think about, see, because I know that the one for the 50s is The Assistant, and here is Bernard Malamud, and this is at the time. By now, that this is the vanishing world of Jewish immigrant life. We're getting past the Yiddish cadence. This is a story of a grocer and who was hardly making a living, and 2 young men come in and actually beat him up and take what little money he has. And it turns one of them comes back with guilt feelings and made the grocery store work. And Malamud is a wonderful. He did The Natural. They made a wonderful movie of The Natural. And if you're looking for something on a uplifting kind of day, then I take out The Natural. Among other things, it has one of my favorite, whose name I can't remember now. The blonde who, I'll think of it. I know. And then we have Life and Fate by Vasily Grossman. Now, I don't know. I think they just have a lot on their minds if they're not in the United States. I don't know who is going to read this, but this is about the Warsaw Ghetto, and it's beautifully written. But this is really a commitment, a lifetime's commitment. And then we have The King of the Jews, which we do have in our library, and this one is this is about the remaining ghetto in Poland, and this is about it's what they call I'm sure you probably have heard, the King of the Jews. He was in charge of the ghetto, and he actually they couldn't decide whether Mordecai Chaim Romkowski. He was the chairman of the Lodz Ghetto and the Jewish Council. So everything went through him. He had to decide who was going to be put on trains and the workforce that's going. He thought that if everybody worked hard, they would be so valuable to the Germans that that they would not send him off. And he gave up some of the children to save other children. So these are the life where this is at a time when there was a lot of gray and not too much black and white. So this is Leslie Epstein made a novel of this man's life and trying to help you. Yeah, it's the fictional guise of I.C. Trumpelman. So this was 1979. So we're all trying to find out if what's to be a Jew. Now, since it's already 1:27, I'm just going to give you the names. Austerlitz by W.G. Sebald, which was encapsulated the Jewish experience in post-Holocaust Europe, which is still terribly, then and now, terribly anti-Semitic. And he's not Jewish even, but he was. And then we have the 90s called Dolly City by Orly Castell Bloom, which is a departure from these other ones because this is about Israeli life. And it's really weird. But, I mean, I don't know on what basis. This is all done by one person named Zachary Solomon. Maybe next week we can talk about what makes him arbiter of what we should read. And then finally, for the 2014 1004 Ben Lerner. And this also is a weird one. A genre-bending comic novel that only a Jew from Topeka, Kansas could have written. So I do have, for someone who wants a real challenge, I do have these big books, but I was thinking, Brenda said she wants to read The Assistant after we finish Counterlife. It's a more upbeat book, and it's not too big. So we will consider it. If you have a copy, I'd particularly like to know if you've read it or if you have a copy and want to look through it before the time comes. But we are now settled on, I'm afraid now Shula will have to do the two dances because she's there by herself. I'm only kidding, Shula. She has wonderful stuff, but we will, I promise you something really exciting next week. I'll send out an email, and anybody who wants to dance or sing, please. Love you all.
Love
I
you
am in
too.
charge. I get to tell, I got to end. So let me see if pause, stop recording. Oh, okay, never mind. I'm going to end it and tell you power can really give you a high. So anybody who wants to be co-host next week.
Have a good week.
You too, everybody. Bye-bye. And if you haven't, let me know that if you want the book. Please. Is that you, Ruth? Is you gonna want the book?
No, thank you. I have something else. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.